Welcome to OLC 4.0. This is term 2B and we are on class 17. We are looking at assignments 24 and 25 today and also how to use a dictionary. And I am Jillian Percy and here is our contact information. Anytime you send in an assignment, please send it to studentwork@nnec.on.ca. You can also email me, jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. You can fax information like packages over to us, 1-800-463-6852. The studio number is 1-800-465-7144. I also have Facebook and YouTube. They have the same address, capital G, capital P, ERCY, space, capital WAHSA. Facebook, I do communicate with some students on, but I don't check it as often as I check email. YouTube has all the recordings from previous terms and from this term. If you are ahead of where we are today, just go back and take a look at term 2A and find the right assignment, and it will be the same information, so you'll be fine there. Okay, today's work. We are going to work on learning how to use both online and print dictionaries, understanding what homophones and homographs are, understanding the structure of an informational paragraph, choosing a topic for an informational paragraph, writing the steps in order, using transition words to help the flow of sequencing, and understanding how to revise a piece of writing. Okay, using a dictionary. People tend to think of dictionaries as a place to check your spelling, but dictionaries are a lot more than just a spelling reference. A good dictionary can tell you what parts of speech the word can be, all the meanings the word can have with each part of speech, common endings or word variations, such as and adding an ly to turn a word into an adverb, example sentences, and they often include synonyms. How to use dictionary. If you enter the phrase online dictionary into your search engine, this is what came up on my screen. The very first dictionary entry that comes up, it's kind of generic, but if you see right under the search bar up here, it will list a few name brand dictionaries like Oxford, Webster, Cambridge. Those are all considered very reliable dictionary companies. I would use those before I would use dictionary.com, okay? Because there's some accountability, right? They have a reputation to uphold. Dictionary.com has no reputation to uphold. Different online dictionaries may show slightly different information. I think the print dictionaries are more thorough, but the online dictionaries can be very convenient, especially if you're at your computer working on a writing assignment. So for example, here is the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition. Tells you right away it's an adjective, tells you how to break it into syllables. You could press on this little button and it would tell you how to say it. Definition is comfortably or conveniently spacious. A synonym is roomy. It also has the archaic meaning of handy or serviceable. And you can add an ly, make it commodiously for an adverb, and commodiousness as a noun. However, Collins Dictionary puts the example first and then puts the definition underneath, which initially kind of confused me because on the internet, there was actually an ad between the two. And I was like, I don't understand. Why are they only giving me an example? Why aren't they giving me a definition? But it's just because they organize their material differently. So that's something to keep in mind because you may prefer one type over another. Okay, so this is a little video on how to use a dictionary. It's extremely thorough and gave information that I didn't even know. So I kind of wanted to go over it with you. And there we go.
A dictionary is filled with entries, and each entry contains information about a particular word. These entries are arranged in alphabetical order. So let's say you're looking for the word ripple. First, you'll find the section with all the words that begin with R. Then you'll use the guide words at the top of each page to find the page with the entry for ripple. This page has rink and rivalry as its guide words. Since the RIP of ripple comes after the RIN of rink and before the RIV of rivalry, we know that this is the page ripple is on. You'll find a lot of information about ripple, including how it's spelled. Some words can be spelled more than one way. At the entry for racket, for example, you'll see RACKET as the main head word. as well as the variant spelling, RACQUET. This dot between the P's in ripple shows you where you can divide the word with a hyphen if it doesn't all fit in one line when you're writing it down. Dictionaries also tell us how to say a word with its pronunciation. There are some familiar letters here, as well as some special symbols that represent specific sounds. You can find out what these symbols mean by looking at the key on the bottom of each page. Hyphens separate the word's syllables. As you can see, ripple has 2 syllables. The marks at the top or bottom of some parts of the pronunciation tell you that those syllables are stressed or given more emphasis when spoken. The first syllable of ripple is stressed, so we say ripple, not ripple. Every word has a job or function in a sentence, which we call a part of speech. A word can be a noun, verb, adjective, adverb, pronoun, preposition, conjunction, article, or interjection. In some dictionaries, the part of speech for each entry is listed as an abbreviation, like N for noun, VB for verb, and ADJ for adjective. Now, have you ever seen 2 words that are spelled the same way but have different meanings? These are called homographs. In this dictionary, each homograph has a separate entry. Their headwords look the same, except for a small number just before it. Ripple has 2 homographs. One is a noun, as in, there is a ripple on the water, and one is a verb, as in, the wind made the water ripple. Because they're both pronounced the same, only the first homograph gets a pronunciation. Many words have more than one form. For example, most nouns have a plural form. 1 ripple, 2 ripples. Verbs can also have different forms. The water ripples. Water is rippling. Water rippled. Adjectives and adverbs can too. Your dictionary will always show you the verb forms and adjective and adverb forms, but it only shows forms for nouns when they don't follow the regular add-s or es noun pattern. So, there's no plural form at the entry for the noun ripple, but at the entry for mouse, you'll see the plural form mice. Now let's look at the definition. It follows a bold colon and tells you what the word means. The verb ripple has 2 meanings. Down at the bottom of this page, the definition for the word rivalry is followed by the word competition in capital letters. The capital letters tell you that competition and rivalry are synonyms. The 2 words mean the same thing. Definitions are often followed by examples of the word in use to help you understand the meanings and how they're used. Some dictionary entries have other features too. A note or label might tell you that a word is usually capitalized when used with a particular meaning, or that a spelling of a word is more common in British English, or that a word is always used in its plural form. At the end of some entries, you'll see other words in dark, heavy type that don't have definitions. These are words that are formed by adding a suffix to the main entry. At the end of the entry for proud, for example, you'll find the word proudly. The suffix ly is defined as in a specified manner. So proudly means in a proud manner. Sometimes you'll find a phrase in dark, heavy type at the end of an entry. Here at make are make believe, make fun of, and make good. These are called run-on phrases. The entry's headword is the first major word for this kind of phrase, but not necessarily the first word. Some entries have a paragraph about the synonyms of the word. Price, for example, has a synonym paragraph that helps explain the differences between the words price, charge, and cost, which all share a meaning. The word synonym in dark type at the entries for charge and cost direct you to the paragraph at price. Many words in English come from older words in Latin or Greek. Those words are called word roots. Here at the entry for primary, there's a paragraph about how the Latin word primus, meaning first, gave us the root prim, which led to the words primary, primeval, and primitive. At the entries for primeval and primitive, you'll find the word root in red, pointing you to the word root paragraph at primary.
Okay, so that's all our wonderful, amazing information.
A
Oops, sorry,
dictionary
wait.
is filled.
I apologize. All our information on using a dictionary. It used to be really common in school to learn about how to use a dictionary, but I don't know if that's really taught anymore. It sort of went out of fashion. So just quick review. You can use a dictionary to check the pronunciation of unfamiliar words, check on the spelling of the words, especially when we add a suffix or a prefix to it, because sometimes that changes the spelling. Explain what part of speech it is, including that it can have more than one part and how the dictionary definition might change. Like an adjective form of ripple versus a noun form or something. To explain the different meanings of the word, to give you an example of the word in a sentence, and to help you understand the difference between two homophones and two homographs. Okay. A homograph is basically a word that's spelled exactly the same way as another word, but it has a different meaning. Sometimes they sound exactly the same, sometimes they sound different. So you kind of have to pay attention to how they're used in the sentence to understand for sure what meaning is being used. So I'm going to give you some example here. These are ones that are words that are so common we don't even kind of notice it, I don't think, anymore. But basically, there's still words that have two entirely different meanings. The little brown bat flew into the cave. So here's one meaning of bat. And you guys can all picture like little tiny brown or black furry creature flying around. The baseball player threw the bat down. Well, that's a completely different type of bat, isn't it? Right? A big long stick that you hit the ball with. I saw you at the store yesterday. So the first saw means like I was looking over and I saw you with my eyes and it was in the past tense, right? My dad is using his new saw to build a shed. All right, so this version of saw is talking about a tool with a sharp edge. I am trying to train my dog to do new tricks. So this kind of train is like I'm trying to teach my dog new tricks. My auntie left on a train to Winnipeg. So that type of train is a form of transportation, right? We saw a beautiful white crane by the lake. So this type of crane is a very long, tall, beautiful bird. And then here we have the crane was lifting the windows up high. Okay, so this type of crane is not a bird. This type of crane is a machine. But they're spelled the same and they're said the same. So you have to look at the words around it to make sure you understand what it means. So what is a homograph? Homograph may sound exactly the same, but they may sound quite different. So to make the difference more obvious, I'm going to put both words in the sentence together so you can hear how they sound different, okay? The farmer is going to produce some new leafy produce on his farm. So produce is like make, produce is like vegetables. Since you are close, can you please close the gate? So the first one is that you're near. The second one is the action of shutting something. The lawyer said, I object to you bringing that irrelevant object into the courtroom. So the first object is like, I disagree, I don't like this. And the second object is like a thing. When she heard her wedding dress tear on the nail, the tears began to fall down. So tear like rip, tears like crying. I had to console my little brother when he broke his new game console. So console, like comfort somebody who's sad and crying, and console, one of those little, maneuvering devices when you're playing your games. Okay, homophone. Homophones sound the same to our ear, but they look different and they have different meanings depending on their spelling. So some examples are right spelled R-I-G-H-T versus right spelled R-I-T-E. The first one, R-I-G-H-T, take a right turn at the gray house. We're talking about the direction. The priest gave him the last rites, R-I-T-E, is talking about a ritual, right? Meat versus meat, first one spelled with two E's, second one spelled with E-A. I can't wait to meet your dad. In other words, I'm going to see your dad for the first time. Mom was cutting up moose meat. The EA version is something you eat. Rain versus rain. First rain is AI, second rain is EIGN. I don't want the rain to come. AI is the type of rain that's water falling from the sky. The second one, REIGN, the king will reign the country till he dies. Doesn't mean he's putting water on it, means he's going to rule over it. Okay. Now, these kind of spelling mistakes, your computer spell checker may not always catch because you might be spelling it right, but using the wrong one for what you're trying to say. Okay, so looking at assignment 24, the information paragraph, this is worth 25 marks. So we've been talking about the concepts of skimming and scanning to find information without having to do close reading or like reading every single word. So now it's time to talk about how to write an information paragraph on a topic of your choice. I would call these a procedural paragraph, right? Topics might be things like how to start a campfire, how to clean a walleye, how to make bannock, how to change a tire on a truck. This is going to be another piece for your portfolio, so you're going to be using the writing process. Make sure you flip back through Unit 1 to refresh your memory on the writing process. The key point about this type of writing is that you're telling someone how to do something and the steps about how to do it, rather than telling them all about something. I'm not telling them about lions. I'm telling them how to make a craft lion or something. You've probably read this type of procedural text all the time. Some examples of typical procedural text are things like recipes, craft instructions, repair instructions, building instructions, machine cleaning instructions, furniture building instructions, game instructions, COVID hand washing instructions. I'm going to give you some examples so you can kind of see what you're trying to aim for. Recipes usually include an ingredient list up top, but then the instructions themselves are one type of procedural writing. How to make a classic sloppy joe's recipe. First, in a large skillet, add oil and heat over medium-high heat. Once the oil is shimmering, reduce heat to medium and add onions and salt and saute, often stirring, until the onions are translucent and beginning to brown around the edges, about 6 to 10 minutes. 2. Then stir in garlic powder and chili powder and cook until fragrant, about 20 seconds. 3. Next, add in the beef and use the back of a wooden spoon to break the meat apart. Cook until the meat is almost browned all the way through. 4. Stir in brown sugar, tomato puree, ketchup, water, and Worcester sauce. Simmer the mixture until the sauce is thickened, about 5 to 10 minutes. 5. Finally, season mixture with pepper and serve on hamburger buns. Okay, and here you will sometimes see drawing instructions, and these are often a procedural writing. They usually include pictures, but they also include words telling you how to do each step. So here the title is How to Draw a Tree. Step 1, draw 2 C's. Step 2, add U's up top to create branches. Step 3, add upside down U's for roots and create an owl burrow. Step 4, add leaves, grass, flowers, and whatever else you want. We're not going to be doing pictures in our version, but it is really common in the world for pictures to be included in this type of writing. You could also be explaining how to do a social skill or a life skill. For example, here's a party planning checklist. Determine the date, time, and guest list. 2, choose the right venue. 3, select a party theme. 4, pick out decorations and party favors. 5, decide on the menu and drinks. 6, order the perfect birthday cake. 7, send out invitations. In this case, they are using numbers to show the steps. We would use words like ordinal number words if we want to be really specific. These are words like first, second, third, fourth, etc. So here, now occasionally people ask me, do I have to write it in red? Do I have to do the bold? No, no, no. They're just trying to show you the different parts of a paragraph. So they put the first sentence in bold, which is your topic sentence. All the supporting details are in the red italics. And the last sentence is underlined. So I'm going to read that. For some reason, they thought it was funny, I think, to write the instructions in the exact same format as they want you to write. I think it's confusing. They think it's funny. I will read it here and then we'll talk about it some more. Writing an information paragraph is easy to do if you follow these steps. The first thing you need to do is decide on a topic and come up with 3 or 4 points that support the topic. Next, you need to write a topic sentence that introduces your topic to your reader. From there, you turn the 3 or so points you come up with on your topic into sentences that support the topic sentence. Finally, the last sentence in the information paragraph is a rewording of the topic sentence. All you need to do is finish your information paragraph is to revise it if needed, and then edit before writing the final copy. Following the above steps will help you write a perfect information paragraph. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So the topic is like the subject or, oh, okay. Here's what happened. I don't know why they use the word topic over and over again. I thought it was super kind of annoying, but I'm going to come back to that, okay? They're following what's called a hamburger format for a paragraph. The top bun gives you your topic, then you have a bunch of juicy details in the middle, and then the bottom bun is your conclusion that restates the topic. So in this one, the topic sentence is, in the Star Wars universe, lightsabers are powerful tools. Supporting details, lightsabers can cut through almost anything. Lightsabers can detect blaster bolts. Skilled Jedi can use lightsabers to absorb force lightning. It takes a lot of practice to learn how to use a lightsaber. So for this assignment, they want you to come up with 3 or 4 points related to your topic that you want to include in your paragraph. Come up with an opening sentence that will allow you to describe what you're going to be teaching them. Turn your 3 or 4 points into sentences and write one sentence or more than one for each point. For the last sentence, simply rewrite your topic using different words. Then they want you to go through your paragraph with a different colored pen or pencil to make revisions. Check your spelling, use of capital letters, and punctuation. Write or produce on a computer a final copy of your informational paragraph. So we're basically beginning to walk through the writing process. Plan what you want to say, do a rough draft of your opening sentence, turn each point into an actual sentence, write a concluding sentence, write your possible revisions, and then produce your good copy and hand it in. Okay, so here's another sample. They did one about how to play ping pong ball that I think is a little more easy to understand. How to play ping pong. Playing ping pong is a fun and relaxing activity. Players stand at opposite ends of the table and are ready to hit the ball back and forth over the net at the center of the table. First, to begin a game, one player will serve the ball over the net towards the other player after hitting his or her side of the table first. The other player will then return the ball over the net and they keep hitting it back and forth until the ball either hits into the net or goes off the table. A point will be given to the player not making a mistake after each serve, and players switch serving after 2 points. Finally, a game is won with either 11 or 21 points. Ping pong is an enjoyable activity for fun and relaxation, good for people of all ages. Your paragraph needs to have at least 6 sentences. Your rough copy is worth 10 marks. Your final copy is worth 15 marks. Overall, the assignment is worth 25 marks. So here are some possible topics to get you started. You do not have to use any of these topics. You are welcome to come up with a topic of your own. It's just I know sometimes it's hard for people to think of them. So here are some possible ones. So for cooking, how to make Kraft dinner, how to make moose stew, how to make bannock, how to make spaghetti. repairing or fixing things, how to change tires, how to change the oil, how to fix a broken screen, how to fix a leaking faucet. Crafts, how to make a pillow, how to make a Christmas tree decoration, how to paint a tree. Social, how to get your kids to bed on time, how to host a Christmas party, how to have a great first date. Outdoor life, how to ice fish, how to set up a tent, how to make a fire, how to catch rabbits. Pick a topic you know how to do and can explain to others. Take a few minutes, write down in point form the steps of the topic. You can always expand on them later. So here it's really just a brief list. I would not hand this in as my rough topic, my rough copy. It's not a rough copy yet. This is more like my brainstorming. How to cook a pot roast in a slow cooker, brown on the stove, add onions, season the meat, potatoes and carrots, broth, seasonings, set the timer, be sure to put the lid on. General sequence word. These are words that you can put at the beginning of a sentence that kind of helps convey order, sequence, timing, that kind of thing. So we've got things like to begin or at the beginning, to start, get started by, next, then, after that, finally, at last, or to conclude. And then there are some words that indicate adding one more step. In addition, plus, as an option, you could. Some people like to. You'll also might see the word as well, or also. Okay, hang on, let me just grab the next thing. There we go. Make sure you pick a topic you understand how to do. If you've never made bannock before, don't pick making bannock because you're gonna have a hard time explaining it. So here is my brainstorming notes. I'm gonna write brainstorming really clear. Okay, I could not hand this in. Okay. I mean, you can if you want to show me, but don't do it for marks. So it's pretty easy to turn each point into a better sentence. My title is going to be how to cook a pot roast in a slow cooker. First, make sure you brown the roast on all sides in a frying pan. Next, slice up an onion and put it in the slow cooker. Then, put the roast on top of the onions. After that, peel and cut up some carrots and potatoes. Add them on top of the meat as they don't take as long to cook. The next step is to add some salt and pepper to the roast. Pour some beef broth over the meat, at least 2 inches worth. Finally, put the lid on and set the timer. Usually 6 to 8 hours on the slow setting will make a tender pot roast for your supper. Now, after I got finished this, I realized, oh my goodness, I forgot the opening and closing sentences. I just kind of dived in without providing an introduction. It's kind of like as if you walk in a room and you don't say hi, you start talking. That's kind of what I did there when I made that mistake. So I was thinking possible opening sentences might be things like, here's how to make an easy pot roast for your family, or want to make a perfect pot roast that never burns or goes dry? Here's how. And then I kind of need to reword that to create my closing sentence. So that might be things like, you'll be surprised how much easier it is to cook a pot roast in a slow cooker. Or once you taste slow cooker pot roast, you will never go back to using your oven. Oh, so I would, hang on a second. Let me just kind of copy this. Duplicate slide. What I would do here is I would go back, right? If I was revising this, can I make that work? Yep, I think so. I'd pick one of them. I'm gonna pick this one, I think. And copy it and put it as my beginning sentence. It's kind of my introductory sentence. Oh, hang on, what? I'm gonna make sure this is all the same. My apologies. It doesn't really make sense if it's all over the place. Let me see here. What about 14? Yep, and it's, oh, all right, that works. Okay, and then I want a closing sentence. So I'm gonna go here and use that one. Okay, so that is my closing sentence. And all of a sudden, it just sounds kind of more official. It's sort of like if you're walking out of a room, you don't just kind of run away the moment you stop talking. You make sure to say goodbye or something. Okay, that's really all I'm doing there. Okay. Um, okay. Here's another example. The planning stage. My topic is creating my first quilt block. Pick a pattern, choose my fabrics, cut carefully, sew and iron. So that's just my brainstorming. Okay. Then I make my rough draft. I don't hand this part in. I only hand the rough draft in. How to create your first quilt back. This time I remembered, do an opening sentence, Jill. It's easy and fun to create a quilt block from start to finish. First, pick an easy block such as the 4-patch or 9-patch or rails. After that, decide what colors you like. Make sure there's plenty of contrast or the pattern won't stand out. Cut your fabric to the correct measurements. Lay out the pieces on the table to be sure it all looks right. Then, carefully pin and sew 2 pieces together. Iron after every time you sew a seam. Keep alternating between sewing and ironing until the whole block is done. Now you have finished your first quilt block. So once I've got my rough draft and handed it in, I need to think of ways to revise or change my rough draft. Improve, okay? Sometimes people have changed it, but it hasn't really improved anything. They just kind of change it just for the sake of changing it. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that you've deliberately tried to make it better, okay? You could add some more examples or details to your paragraph. You could remove unnecessary repetition or anything that's gone off topic. You could move sentences around so that the order makes sense. You could use transition words and phrases to help the flow of your paragraph. You could make sure your sentences are clear and understandable. Okay. Revising your writing. Okay, a quick one. Let's see if I can get it up. Oh, I don't know. Hang on. There we go.
Today we're going to talk about using the ARMS method to revise your writing. Remember that revising is the third step of the writing process. First, we engage in pre-writing, then drafting, and then revising. ARMS, or ARMS, is an acronym for Add, Remove, Move, and Substitute. Following these 4 steps will help you revise your writing. First, let's talk about the A, add. As you begin to revise your writing, ask yourself these questions. Can I add anything to my writing to improve it? Do I need to add any words or sentences? What transition words can I add to help improve my writing? Can I add some descriptive details or appeals to the 5 senses? For example, in the sentence, my favorite snack is popcorn, the writer could choose to revise the sentence by adding the descriptive adjectives buttery and crunchy before the noun popcorn. Next, let's talk about the R, remove. As you revise your writing, ask yourself, what unnecessary words or phrases should I remove? Are there any sentences that don't make sense? Are there any sentences that don't support my topic sentence? Let's take a look at this example sentence. Going to the movies is a fantastic activity and so fun. Describing going to the movies as fun after already calling it fantastic seems a little redundant and unnecessary, so that part can easily be removed. Now let's talk about the M, move. During the revising step of the writing process, ask yourself, would this sentence fit better somewhere else? Should I reorder my paragraphs? Can I move words or phrases around to make more sense? Let's look at this example sentence. She served sandwiches to the children on paper plates. Here we have a misplaced modifier. On paper plates, that needs to be moved next to the word it modifies, sandwiches. After moving the modifier phrase, the sentence now reads, she served sandwiches on paper plates to the children. Now the sentence makes more sense. Finally, let's talk about the S, substitute. As you revise your writing, ask yourself, which words can I substitute to make my writing more interesting? Did I use any boring or overused words that I can replace? Can I replace a comparison or description with figurative language? In our example sentence, he was so happy when he won the spelling bee, we can substitute the overused words so happy with a more interesting adjective, elated. Now it reads, he was elated when he won the spelling bee. So remember, after you've finished your rough draft, use the ARMS method to revise your writing. Add words, sentences, details, and transition words. Remove unnecessary, boring, or off-topic words, phrases, or sentences. Move phrases, sentences, or paragraphs that fit better somewhere else in your writing. Substitute overused words with more interesting ones. Replace comparisons or descriptions with figurative language to make your writing more interesting. Once you've completed this step, you're ready to edit your writing.
So I just thought they explained it really thoroughly, and I really liked that explanation. Because a lot of times people are a little bit lost as what on earth do I do to try and fix this and make it better. So here is my original one, and now I'm going to use that ARMS stuff to try and think about how to make this better. Okay, so it's easy and fun to create a quilt block from start to finish. Here I kind of change it to it's easy to create a beautiful quilt block in no time. I don't know, I didn't like from start to finish. It sounded awkward to me. First, pick an easy block such as the 4-patch or 9-patch or rails. Now, I wasn't sure if people would know that these are specifically the names of quilt blocks, so I deliberately added the capitals to show that. First, pick an easy block that only has straight seams to sew, like a 4-patch or a fence rail block. So I'm explaining what makes it easy because it's nice and straight. After that, decide what colors you like. After that, I replaced that with after you choose your pattern, you need to pick out what colors you like and a background color like white or gray. Not every single quilt has that kind of thing, but a lot of quilts have a background pattern. Make sure there's plenty of contrast or the pattern won't stand out. I decided to leave that out because I put the background color in there. I don't know if I did the right thing. Cut your fabric to the correct measurements. Here I've got carefully cut out your fabric to the right measurements by tracing the lines on the wrong side of the fabric. So here I'm telling you how to do the instruction. Lay out the pieces on the table to make sure it all looks right. Lay out all your cut pieces on a flat surface to check that it looks right. Because it doesn't have to be a table. I've used a bed or a couch or whatever you have, right? Then carefully pin and sew 2 pieces together. Now pick 2 pieces that are side by side and sew them together. Iron, I don't think I meant after time. I think I meant every time. Iron every time you sew a seam. Here I put iron them afterwards so they lay flat. Keep alternating between sewing and ironing until the whole block is done. Same thing, Now you finished your first quilt block. Now your first quilt block is ready to show off. So there's a lot of little tweaking. I didn't change every single sentence, but I think I'm pretty happy with this. I think the only thing I'm not happy, I think I probably would take that sentence and copy it and put it back in. Because I think it made sense and added some information that probably is helpful if you've never made a quilt block before. Okay. So a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know what to do. Like that's what I'm showing you, right? It's not always huge things, but a lot of times all those tiny little changes can make such a big difference in how good your writing sounds. Okay, we're moving on to assignment 25. This is about making a prediction. It's only worth 10 marks. It's kind of a funny little assignment here. Before you read the next chapter, which is chapter 4, skim and scan the pages and write down 5 words that stand out. And then beside the words, indicate why they stood out. Like if I saw the word fire, oh, it stood out because I'm worried that the cabin's going to go on fire or something. Then use each word in a new sentence of your own. I love to use a beautiful fire to make fried fish. That part is worth five marks. Okay. So this is a challenging assignment because they ask a lot of things at once. And I find it's really easy for people to forget parts of it when you're writing the answer. So first, scan the pages for 5 words. Tell me those words. Tell me why they words stood out. Put it in a new sentence. For example, gas. I bet there's huffing gas. My sentence, sniffing gas can be a dangerous thing to do. And then you do that for all of the 5 words that you pick. Okay. So, hang on a second. Okay. Yeah. Remember, we're about to do predictions. Predictions are about the future, right? You're not telling me about anything that's already happened. You're making a reasonable guess as to what might happen next to the story. Now, I am not expecting you to get everything right. That's not the point. The point is to use what information you have to make a reasonable prediction, especially based on the 5 words that stood out for you. But you want to keep in mind, what other things do you know already? Well, I know this book is from a realistic genre. I can think about what things have already happened to Jimmy and other characters. I can think about in real life what kind of things usually happen to young people that have a history like Jimmy or Gary or the rest. For some reason, this part didn't show up in the box. Oh, I don't know why, but I'll put a little box on it. Sorry, sometimes I change one thing and then it kind of changes everything on that slide. So based on the words that stood out for you, as well as the title of the chapter, make a prediction as to what the main idea of this chapter is going to be. And your answer should contain at least 3 sentences. If you only do 2, you're not going to get as many marks, okay? You have to have all 3 sentences. Some examples might be things like, the chapter is called The Cabin, so I think they might, and you tell me what you think. The words blank and blank made me think that, what do those words make you think? When I saw the word blank, whatever it is, I thought that, and then you'd explain it. You do not have to use these sentence starters. I'm just trying to give you kind of like a little help if you're having trouble thinking of how to explain things. So here's an example using an imaginary book. Let's say I read a book and I noticed the words blood, knife, scream, alley, sirens, and the chapter is called Suddenly. So maybe it's a murder mystery. Here are some predictions I might make. The words blood and knife make me think someone is going to get hurt, maybe even killed. It sounds like this fight might happen in an alley, but the police respond quickly since we hear sirens. The chapter title suddenly make me think that there's an argument that happened unexpectedly that triggered the whole event. The main character, Jake, has repeatedly gotten into fights due to his anger issues, so it's possible this has happened as well. This is an imaginary thing, but I'm trying to show you how the prediction process goes, okay? All right. Be sure to include all the parts to question number 25. The words you picked out, previous actions, personality traits, chapter title. make sure you're explaining the reasons for your predictions. So for example, I wouldn't say, oh, I predict Jimmy is going to get picked up by aliens. Well, why not? Well, because so far there's been no aliens and we're a good third of the way through the book. And it's not really a sci-fi book, so it's unlikely to be aliens. I probably wouldn't predict that Jimmy dies right away because the entire novel's called Jimmy Comes Home. So he probably wouldn't die that quick into the novel, since novels with that person as the title usually live until the very end, right? So just kind of use what you already know about books in this particular book to make reasonable predictions, okay? Reading log reminder. If you have not filled out your reading log recently, now would be a great time to catch up. Remember that any type of reading counts. Work-related reading is things like letters, emails, invoices, sales you're putting together, ads, posters, office manuals. Personal reading, things like novels, poems, songs, letters, cards, lists, legal or medical documents, comic books, graphic novels. Any kind of media reading you're doing, posters, ads, games, apps, social media reading, things like Facebook, Twitter, email, Instagram, blogs, and Messenger. So if you do a little bit of the reading logs every couple of weeks, then you're going to have enough to hand in at the end, because remember, those get handed in for the very last assignment. If you wait until the end to try to do it all at once, it's going to be a gigantic hassle and you'll spend a bunch of time having to do something that's very easy to do if you just do it as you go along. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to look at assignment 26. That's kind of a big assignment. It's writing our essay, a big opinion essay on a couple of topics. So if you have a chance tonight, take a look around, put opinion essay into the search engine you use, and read a few opinion essays so you kind of know where we're going with this. Okay. Thank you so much for showing up, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.